We'll do a countdown and then hi. Finals. Shall we have the first speaker to present their speech? Put your hands together, please. Kelly.
Can you clap? You can't. Okay. So just one. Okay, can you raise it so that I see it? Okay, no problem.
Ready when you are.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Can you hear me? Okay, so I'm going to start in 3, 2, 1. So this is how my dream was going. Silent, quiet, beautiful, and lovely. I had a dream whereby I had everything that I ever needed. But somehow that same very dream became a nightmare because too much of everything becomes excess and it's just not sweet. So in this dream, you know, the two things that I could only see were two pots. One with a fine, shining, dark light. But it was dark. And then another road that was so crystal clear that I didn't understand. So what am I trying to say? I'm trying to say that the moment that I just realized that being Pan-African means that I have to take two different roads and it's up to me to decide what exactly, to decide to take a road that I see that it's going to end so beautifully. But to reach that road, I need to go through so many obstacles. So the moment that I stepped my bare foot just for one step, it was hot. The stones beneath me were made out of flames and fire to an extent that I could not bear it. But at the same time, the freshness of the breath, the roses that were beside me were beyond so sweet. As I moved in that dream, it became so spicy to an extent that my fellow Africans could not allow me or accept me of who I am. Because being Pan-African means that we need independence. But is it really true? We need unity, but is it really true? We need belonging, but with my dark skin, do I really belong? That's the question. But if you look closely, there's a light shining. But then let's look at the other side. What do I see? I see a road that is so silky. And it's easy to move in. It's called globalization, whereby everything is just so easy. We can just easily unite. We can just easily be identified. But at the end of the day, I get to lose my culture. I get to lose my norms and my values versus something that I was created for. So what am I saying? I'm saying that this road is a combination of three identities. But at the end of the day, it's suffocating me through each and every moment to an extent that I can't breathe. So what do? Do I take this path? Do I go and make sure that every throne is thrown at me? Every stone everything. And then I just make sure that I go through it, no matter how sweet I enjoyed, no matter how spicy I enjoyed. Is that what I need in order to reach the goal that is so perfect? Or do I take the easy road? The easy road that is acceptable to my fellow youth, to my fellow people. So what do I do at the end of the day? Being Pan-African is not always easy. It comes with bumpy roads. It comes with an identity. And it makes sure that I understand that we need unity, belonging, understanding. And sometimes it's not all that we get. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Kelly, for that nice speech. Shall we please get Peglo Joyce Delali, the second speaker, on stage? Welcome, Joyce. Umu will take you through the time signaling. Cool. Great. So, for the sake of the topic is being African, sugar, spice, and everything salty. We are ready when you are.
So, let me see my West Africans here who miss that spiciness in all of their food. Like, wave your hands, wave your hands. Let me see my Southerners here who would do everything for salty food. Like, oh my God. And Northerners who also do without, like, their spicy food in them. Africans are expressive. We are damn dramatic. And I tell you, we have all the energy in the world. But also, we are smart and we are thoughtful. Africa is not about beauties, though. But then every day in, day out, we complain about corruption. Oh, God. We also complain about economic hardships that we go through. Each and every African state and every African person can relate, right? Can you or can you not relate to the corruption that somehow embraces Africa? Exactly. All this shows the totality of our pains and our enjoyments. In your food, you might not like too much spice or too much salt, or maybe you're not someone who likes too much sweetness. But if all these are not in your food at all, it will just be bland and not delicious. You might even feel nauseous, am I right? Exactly. That is how Africa is, and that is what being Pan-African means. We need all these varieties in order to show that we are the most interesting, that we are the most likely to develop the best way in the whole world. Ladies and gentlemen, things that actually block the development of Africa is the idea that we have various different identities and we can never relate. But that is not true. When we're chanting for Mashujaa, weren't we all chanting? Don't we all love colors and clothes and our culture and how rich it is? Exactly. Then why is it that we might think we can't move on or Pan-Africanism is not possible? We are from different sectors of the regions, but we are here for PAUDC, one of the biggest arbiters for the propagation of Pan-Africanism. I'm here doing public speaking because, yes, that is what being Pan-African means. Every single person here is supporting Morocco because they are from Africa and they are the only representing person in our place. I won't say because I'm Ghanaian, I won't support them. You won't say because you are South African, you won't support them. You won't say, maybe I'm not a Muslim, so I won't support them. We are all supporting them because if they win for Pan-Africa. And this kind of support that we give to them is we being Pan-African. We can have that unity. We can have that totality. There is nothing that can actually block our development when we all get to the idea that we are Pan-African. Yes, you may like only salt, or maybe the food that I've eaten here, I don't enjoy it so much because there's not so much pepper. Or I pour a lot of sugar in my tea even though they serve it without it because I want to enjoy it. But all in all, I love Nairobi. I went to shop a lot today because I love the kind of uplifting of that culture. That is me being Pan-African. That is how you are being Pan-African. That is how all of us are being Pan-African. Pan-Africanism is beautiful. We are expressive. We are intellectuals. We can do it. We are doing it. I tell you, we have all the sugar, we have all the spice, and we have all the salt. We are not bland. We are not boring. We are the most interesting. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Joyce Delali. So from one Delali, we move to the other Delali. Welcome, Monica Delali. Welcome, Monica. All right, so Umu will take you through the time signaling. All right, so for the purposes of clarity, I'm going to read the topic again. Pan-African, sugar, spice, and everything salty.
You can hear me now. I'm ready. Saturday, 17 December 2022. The Nobel Peace Prizes will be given in Oslo. And when I was reading it, I found an interesting fact. An organization from Ukraine that fights for human rights and democracy will be receiving an award. You see, when I read this, I didn't know whether I should be excited or happy for them, or if I should. I was really confused. Because, you see, the very people that have the opportunity, the ability, the power to stop whatever is happening in Ukraine are standing by and saying, we're going to give you a Nobel Peace Prize for what you're doing. You're trying to fight for your people. You see, the very same people who actually caused conflict between Russia and Ukraine are saying, we're going to give you a peace prize because you're trying to fight for your community. And you know what is even more upset? Before I even completely understood what was happening, I realized that the very same people who are standing up for Ukraine are the same people who are fighting for them, but then they are okay with getting recognition by a Nobel Peace Prize, by the same people who caused conflict in their country. But now, what I have a bigger problem is how the constraints or the ideologies that exist surrounding Africa is that in Africa, you have the biggest uncontrollable population, where you have xenophobia, where you have Boko Haram that has managed to kill every single girl that exists in Nigeria, how there is so much hunger and poverty in Africa that there is nowhere to land a simple plane. You have to land in a tree and fight in a savanna ecosystem and fight with the animals for you to exist. That is potentially problematic in today. We feel that while I was in the middle of thinking about that, I realized that the very same people spreading such narratives are the same people who, when they want to calm down and peace and find peace and serenity, when they want to rejuvenate their bodies, they rush to the majestic Victoria Falls, where the smoke thunders and there is peace and calm and serenity. That the very same people, when they want to educate their children, they rush to Kenya so that they can learn about wildlife. The very same people, when they want to educate their children about what working together and majesticness is, they rush to the pyramids of Giza in Egypt. But then what I had the biggest problem is that in the midst of the conversation of how there is xenophobia, how there is uncontrollable population and poverty, we have Africans that are existing within those same spaces and ignoring what is happening. We have Africans who will stand and say, "Viva Africa, we are Pan-Africanism." But when things get spicy and salty, they ignore it as if they're not even from Africa. But when social media then goes on to claim about how there are beautiful women in Kenya, there are beautiful women in Egypt, they're the first people to say we are Africans and we love our country. What we need in today's world is people who will stand and be Pan-African, whether it is sweet, whether it is salty, whether it is spicy. We are tired of people, especially young people like you and me, because we're the ones who have the control of what happens in the future. We're the ones who control what happens now. We're the ones who have the control of the social media at the end of the day. Let us use the weapons that we have as Africans. Let us be truly Pan-African, love ourselves. Let us fight for Africa. Sugar, salty, spicy. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Great. We have the next person on stage, Musa Abdul Razak. Welcome, Abdul Razak. Can you come closer so that Umu takes you through the time signaling and how it's going to work? Great. So for the purposes of clarity, the topic you're presenting on is being Pan-African, sugar, spice, and everything salty. We're ready when you are.
You are aware that long time ago, the global giant was Africa. How many of you know that there was a time when Africa ruled the world with so many different cultures, with so many adorable spiritualities, and with so many people that were so great that could uplift the image of their personalities, until the white men came to us. They came to divide us. They came to create boundaries that we didn't even consent to. They came and took all that. They disintegrated us and left us in shackles. Oh, Africa. Oh, Africa. I remember that day. That day when Dr. Kwame Nkrumah stood in that podium and said, Ghana, my beloved country, is free forever. He didn't stop there. He said that the liberation and the independence of Africa is meaningless until it is tied to the entire liberation of the African continent. I remember that day. He said it with so much aspiration and with so much hope in the African continent. It saddens me to see that the youth are not championing the cause of all those that fought for our liberation. All those that left the unwon battles for us to fight. Yes, I know. I know it is going to be tough. I know that you might think that the unity of Africa cannot be achieved. But that isn't true. It isn't true because we willed a power that is so great, a power that have the ability to liberate the entire continent, a power that can make us great again. I know as I champion this cause, there will be obstacles. I know if you champion the cause, there will be obstacles. You may die, or I may die. But if I die, I take solace in the fact that I have contributed to the liberation of Africans. Think about it. Would you like to die as a coward slave, or you die as a liberal hero? It is so fair to say that we can be great again. But we cannot achieve that if we constantly rely on the worst, forgetting that together we can achieve greatness.
All right. Thank you very much, Abdul Razak. Very sorry, but your time is overly due. All right. So before the next person comes, let me just say this, guys, to the audience. I know we are all in the emotions and the excitement and all that, but please let's beat it down a bit so that we can have the concentration. Thank you very much for your cooperation. And if your phone, you could help us by also putting your phone on silent mode so that it doesn't distract the process. Let's welcome Okeke. All right, so welcome, Okeke. Can you please come closer? Umu has a word with you. The timekeeper has a word with you. All right, great. Now that is out of the way, for the purposes of clarity, the topic you're going to present on is being Pan-African, sugar, spice, and everything salty. Ready when you are, okay.
Good evening, everyone. Before I begin my speech, I want to, first of all, thank God for making it this far, and to thank my family and friends and relatives who are obviously watching me now. I hope to make all of you proud. All right, I begin. Traveling through Rwanda, through the dancing mountains of Rwanda and the high plains of Uganda, through Kenya, I saw something distinct in Africa. My friend Sepiso were sitting with me in the bus, and he told me, oh, I am missing home. And this reminded me how unique each and every aspect of our continent is. How important and how how I was able to relate to all these topographies I'm seeing as I travel along the 30 hours. Now, it reminded me as we are sitting in plains with my friends, we reminded ourselves of the stories of African heroes, the real Africans who fought in this forest, who fought in these mountains, using crude instruments, who were able, for the hunters who were able to go to the forest and return with the head of lions. We call them Obuago. And those people, farmers, who were able to toil the difficult landscapes of the mountains and return with plentiful harvest. We call them the DG. Now, looking at all these stories, it reminded me how all these stories have just faded. Because we have been colonized, we have been defeated, we have been led to slavery. We forgot the African value. Brothers turning on their brothers, fathers selling their sons to slavery, and so many other things. We were defeated mentally. We cannot think of ourselves. Our fathers, our founding fathers were able to defend their territory with the crude instruments, hose matches they have. But here we are, thinking that we are not good enough because we have been enslaved mentally, even after gaining independence. Now, if you are in this room, I want you to hear me out. That I am seeing a spark in Africa. When Morocco take on France this night, I am seeing a spark in African unity. When Burna Boy ascends the stage of Grammy Award, I am seeing a spark in African unity. Now, what does that spark translate? It means that that gene of African heroics is currently taking its face. That Africa are once again taking their rightful place on the global stage. That Africa are once again taking what rightfully belongs to them, are once again leading themselves. If you are in this room, I want you to hear me clearly. That you represent that Africa. If anybody, I mean anybody, ever tells you that you are never good enough because of the color of your skin, or because of the clothes you wear, or because of the language you speak, I want you to hear me clearly this night. That whatever you choose to be depends on you. And you have to work hard for it. You have to practice. You have to put in the effort. And you have to understand that Burna Boy was just a young man in the streets of Africa. And he was able to have that dream. And he was able to make it happen. Fellow Africans, I am confident in you. And I believe that the spirit of Ubuntu, that we are because we are one, is once again taking its place. And I want you, as you live, remembering that the motto of this debate is the Mashujaa, the African heroes. I want you to understand that whether Africa is spice, whether Africa is sweet, or whether Africa is salty, depends on what you represent. Are you going to join those corrupt leaders who have continued to keep us in stagnation? Are you going to join those corrupt leaders who have continued to make us feel less belonged in the world? I want you to stand up this night as you go home in your various countries to take the stage and make things happen. To take the stage and change the narrative. To take the stage and make Africa a better place. Thank you all.
All right. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you very much for the support you're giving them. Yeah. All right, so before... Hi, everyone. Okay, so before we have the last person, I'll probably have to ask some security men to take out Prosper Michael and Kujia Champo, because I hear their voices a lot. All right, so let's have the last person. Please put your hands together for Mahadi. Mahadi. Mahdi, please come closer. Umu has a word with you. So, Mahadi, let's confirm that the topic you have is being Pan-African, sugar, spice, and everything salty.
Yes, please.
We are ready when you are.
All right, so before I begin my speech, I would like to give a couple of shout-outs. First, to the University for Development Studies Debate Society, a union that started slowly and is consistently breaking the barriers and reaching high heights. We are proud of ourselves. Another person that has always held me back, unfortunately from an institution who couldn't fund it, Johnson Etiel Rietzman, I dedicate this speech to you for our long-standing friendship. So, all right, so I begin my speech in 3, 2, 1. Hello, fellow monkeys. Oh, you're surprised? Is that not what they call us? Is that not what we've internalized? Well, they kept on calling us monkeys so that we could continue to rely on them for banana. Oh yes, loans with strings attached for us to continue to be under them, for them to bully us. The colonizers came to Africa for a couple of things. They introduced structural things like education, religion, and democracy. Yes, the happy democracy we are all proud of to solve all our problems. But then they internalized certain forms of discriminations. That is why people identified as Black Africans, Indian Africans, etc. What that means is that we exist as Africans on a shaking story. Growing up as a little boy, I always was convinced that the best way I could truly be African was when I internalized novels that were written by African, because that meant a first stage to being truly African, understanding the African story, and being able to defend it true and true. But then secondly, it told me that I was legitimizing the struggles of our forebears, our forefathers, and being able to continue their fight. This credibility of the Pan-Africanism ideology have setbacks. The idea that we are all not proud enough. But a Pan-African is not just somebody who is black. It's not somebody who is able to deliver African speeches and speak multilingual languages in Africa, but most importantly, not someone that waves their flag in so much pride. A true Pan-African is one that is able to give thoughtful contributions towards the movement of Pan-Africa and its ideals. The realization, first and foremost, is what gives me the sweet version to be Pan-African. First, the ability to be able to relate with my colleague African and say, truly, we have a great battle to fight. But then secondly, how it is able to give us an active contribution to connect with the roots of our forefathers. It gives us true identity. I am already sweating in this colonized shit. Wow, everybody believes that this is supposed to be the formal way. This is the beginning of change. The change for us to be able to be so proud of being Pan-African, regardless of the circumstances and challenges we face. Being truly Pan-African means you face a whole lot of active discrimination from people who are also African and are not so proud to be African. People who do not necessarily feel attached to the struggles. Politicians and their families who necessarily enjoy holidays outside. Being truly Pan-African is being able to relate with the challenges and being able to proffer solutions to them. It begins with us accepting ourselves. The self-acceptance and self-realization that we are faced with a common enemy, the West. We are able to do better. We are able to concert our efforts to fight this enemy. Who wants to leave this room the best Pan-African? All right, so join me and each and every other person as we rally and sing the greatest songs of Africa, as we lead in a common language and sing that Africa is ready for their liberation and we don't care of differences that exist between us. That is the reason why in this tournament, South Africans begin to go into their war chant and everybody joins. The togetherness that true Pan-Africanism brings cannot be broken by selfishness of individuals. As a collective group, the message you should walk out today is that you are better on being your brother's keeper. The empathy that Pan-Africanism gives me is what makes me assured of a better tomorrow. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Mahadi. Thank you very much, guys. That brings us to the end of the 2022 PADC Public Speaking Finals. Thank you very much, everybody, and see you at the awards.
That was a really nice break. All right. It's nice to see the energy is still there. I really love to see it. So right now we're moving on to the interesting segment. Settle down. Okay, so I just got a key. If this is yours, you dropped it while you were having a good time here. So if this is your key, I have it. I don't know what it is. So if this is your key, seriously, if you've lost a key, I have it. You'll see me around, I'll keep it with me. So lovely. Thank you so much. All right, so we're moving to the interesting segment of today's event, the award ceremony. And I know this is going to be really